President-elect Donald Trump is set to make his return to the White House. President Biden is scheduled to host Trump this morning at 11 o'clock in the Oval Office. Biden extended the invitation shortly after last week's election results were finalized, in keeping of decades of tradition. The meeting highlights his administration's emphasis on a peaceful transfer of power. But of course, after 2020, Trump lost his second run and broke that precedent. He refused to invite the Bidens to Washington. First Lady Jill Biden also reached out to Melania Trump to meet today, but neither the First Lady's office nor the Trump campaign has confirmed that visit's actually going to happen. Melania reportedly planning to skip it. She was noticeably absent from the majority of Trump's campaign stops and events, but was there the night he was reelected. Before heading to the White House, President-elect Trump is expected to meet with some House Republicans. House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters yesterday that there are preliminary plans for that meeting, but they've not been finalized. Johnson also shared he plans to be at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence this weekend in Palm Beach to iron out details on the plans ahead. Joining us now to talk about all this is the director of Syracuse University's Institute for Democracy, Journalism, and Citizenship, Margaret Talev. She's also a senior contributor for Axios. Margaret, good to see you this morning. So there are so many storylines here for this Trump and Biden meeting. This is Trump's first visit to the Oval Office since he slunk out of Washington on January 20th, 2021, 2 weeks after January 6th's insurrection. Also, he's got to sit down next to the man, President Biden, who has spent years calling Trump a threat to democracy and now sees him succeed him.
Yeah. Jonathan, I think today is going to be a very watchable moment. There's a lot of optics involved, although I think substantively the president-elect's meetings with House GOP lawmakers are probably going to be more important in terms of paving the way for what's to come in the next 4 years or even the next 4 months. But as you mentioned, a big part of this tradition is the optics of a peaceful transfer of power. And the reason that's been historically important is to signal to American voters, no matter what your view is, that when, the candidate has won, it is the role of the outgoing administration to welcome them to the White House and to help set them up for success. And because President Biden believes in norms and embraces norms, this is something that, even though it's going to be obviously very difficult to do, this is a victory lap for President-elect Trump. He's going to come off of this sort of rally atmosphere on the Hill, having won both the popular vote as well as the electoral vote, and show up at the White House and sort of, it is a win moment for him. Sure. But Biden's, I think, sort of plan in this, traditionally what happens is they also have a conversation, the outgoing president and the incoming, and talk about domestic issues. They talk about foreign policy issues, things the outgoing president wants the incoming president to know. I think both of them already know what the other one wants them to know. There are very few secrets anymore about what's going on and the different views in these two administrations. But that is going to be a big part of what happens today.
Yeah, famously, Barack Obama in 2016 told Trump to watch out for North Korea, that might be the biggest international issue he faces. And credit to President Biden here to adhering to this tradition, even as personally painful as it will be for him to sit next to Trump in the Oval Office. Margaret, let's get your take on some of the Trump selections we heard from last night, particularly Pete Hegseth as defense secretary and Kristi Noem as head of DHS. These are pretty unconventional selections to many. What's the analysis you're hearing?
Well, I think Hegseth is the one that more folks will be talking about because in addition to some of his background, even though he does have military service, he's also been thought of as a partisan media figure on Fox, who sort of trolls the woke policies and all this kind of stuff. That there's going to be some controversy on that front. Also, some controversy for his support of controversial figures who were in trouble in the military. It's one thing to do that from your perch in a media role. It's another thing to do that as defense secretary. And finally, I think his very anti-interventionist stance compared to even some of the incoming folks we expect on Trump's national security or intelligence or, foreign policy leadership teams is going to create a conflict, most likely right out of the gate. The confirmation process could be quite interesting, but I think President-elect Trump has clearly thought this through. This is the move he wants to make for the conversation and the debate, as much as for a loyalist who is a communicator and is well known by the American public.
Yeah, Republicans in the Senate likely a rubber stamp for most of his picks. This one, maybe not. We shall see. Margaret Taleff, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.